What up, everybody? Good evening. You're now tuned into my podcast. I'm Seriously Focused Johnny, SF Johnny. Today's episode is called Indicators of Jealousy. I felt the need to put out this episode because I'm coming across a lot of people that fail to recognize when someone close to them is jealous of them. Nowadays, it could be anybody. Let me give you a few examples. It could be a sibling, it can be a spouse, it can be if people are in a relationship, boyfriend and girlfriend. It could be the boyfriend or the girlfriend. A person close to you can be jealous of you. But a lot of times, what people fail to realize is that the person next to them is jealous of them because they feel like, for example, let's say a husband and wife, feeling like, well, we're married. Why would that person be jealous of me? And it could be a number of things. It could be because maybe one spouse is always throwing out their titles or how much money they make. It could be because the spouse is living in their head and announcing as if they're separate and not in a union with the person. So it comes off as if they're roommates and not together. It could be because maybe one party is their picture of what marriage is distorted and it's not a reality. But a lot of times, people that we are close to can be jealous of us. So I'm going to give you some indicators that seem small, but from my experience, what I've seen is facts. Number one, if you have a friend or a family member who never visits you but drive past your house, I think I said this before some time ago. They will go down the street to someone else's house. They will sneak to other people's house, but they never come visit you. They always want you to come to them. Number two, a person who can never get your title correct. So what it looks like is that you're an executive and they always referring to you as an assistant. They never want to give you that the executive title is your title. Number three, they always making fun of your spouse. And the joke is getting old. And that same person making a joke doesn't have anybody. A person who always makes fun of your kids when something is wrong with their child. Either their child has a disability, their child is always in jail, their child is always in something or another. But they always feel the need to make fun of your child or your kids. Number five, they are determined to get whatever information about you wrong, even though they know the correct information. So an example would be like this. They will tell people that you live with your parents when your parents live with you, or that you don't have a job when you do. And that same person telling a lie, they don't have their own place, or they don't even have a job, or they can't keep a job. But telling a lie makes them feel better. So they convince themselves that you are beneath them. Number six, every time you say something, they come up with a negative. Oh, that hairstyle is ugly. Oh, that makes you look fat. Oh, anybody could do that. I hate when people say that. Because when people say something like, oh, anybody could do that, it's like, why can't you do it? Number seven, they always try to beat you at your next move. So if it's just a thought and you just blurting it out random. Let's say you decide to make candles, and then all of a sudden that same person decides to open a candle business and know nothing about candles. And when you blurted out that you were thinking about making candles, they try to talk you out of the situation. They are the people that always try to talk you out of what you're trying to do. You decide to change your hair color, they try to get the same color. And then they tell you that their hair color wouldn't look right on you. Or they tell you something like they got the color, but they don't like the way it look. When in actuality, they love the way it look. They just don't want you to have it. Another situation is when you have people that come to your house and snoop through your stuff. I remember a little child some time ago coming to my house, and their parent was on the phone with them and they was going through my stuff. And the little child had no idea what they were doing, but they were following the direction of their parent. Sins of a mother and father fall down to the third and fourth generation. And in this case, when little kids do things and they don't know what they're doing, and then they get older and certain things start to happen to them, just like what they did when they were younger, and it gets out of hand. People are going to want to know why. And that whole situation was crazy because over the course of some time, I started to see exactly what my grandmother was saying, where the person was jealous of me. We cannot dismiss certain things. And a lot of times if you catch a person doing something, like say, let's just say that they never come visit you, but they always want you to visit them. I feel like you should address the situation. Let it be known. Because people will sit there and make it seem like something wrong with you when something's wrong with them. They have that jealous spirit inside of them that feels some kind of way about you. And what it is that if a jealous person avoids you, they feel better. But when they see you, they feel like, oh, I gotta do this and oh, I gotta do that. They want to compare what they have to what you have or compete. And I'm telling you, when it comes to jealousy, people that are older than you are not exempt. I've seen grown women when I was younger, at the time they were in their 50s, and they were pushing their kids to compete against me. And it was like, well, why you gonna go do this and you don't even like that? And they were like, oh, because my mother said. And it was just like, yo, what's wrong with you? Like, why can't you just say that you don't want to do it? And it could have been anything. It could have been playing a sport, taking up singing lessons, anything. I remember a person like that. It was crazy. And I still ignored it because I was just like, you know what? That's just the way how some people are. But what happens is sometimes jealousy can turn into something else dangerous, where a person will intentionally tap into the spiritual realm and try to hurt someone. And that's what I'm seeing nowadays. A person gets jealous and they see that the other person is just moving along, minding their business, and they moving along through life because God is helping them move along, and they persistent, and then all of a sudden in the background this person is doing things to prevent that person from getting from point A to point B. And that's why it's imperative that pray about your known and unknown enemies. I don't always want to talk about enemies. I really don't. But I'm seeing too many people getting hurt by just assuming that, number one, it can never happen to them. Number two, they just too smart for it to happen to them. Number three, that person will never do what they would ever think because they feel that that person doesn't have it in them. Regardless of what, you got to protect yourself. And you got to pray about your known and unknown enemies. There are people out here a lot of times that they don't want to pray about the person that's beside them that's an enemy, because they don't want to believe that that person will really try to hurt them. And all I'm saying is put a hedge of fire around you. That's all I'm saying. All I'm saying is go to God in prayer and ask God to put a hedge of fire around you and protect you from your known and unknown enemies. They don't even want to do that because they think that if they go to God in prayer, that same person, God is going to deal with them and all this other stuff when that person is innocent. And I'm trying to explain that if the person beside you is innocent, God is not going to deal with them how he deal with your enemies. If that person, that's like saying, how could I say it? I'm going to give you an example. You have a female who her brother tried to sabotage a lot of situations in her life. Her marriage, like big time. Marriage big time. And the reason why he tried to sabotage the marriage is because he's gay. So he wanted her husband, but her husband is straight. Whole lot of drama. The thing about it is that when I said to her, basically, you need to, and I'm switching the story around just a little bit. So when I said to her, you need to pray about that enemy in the family, because if your husband is coming to you saying some things, and there's some things in you that you're seeing as well, why are you dismissing it? Like your husband is saying basically, I don't want that man in my house. He looks at me a certain kind of way. He does some things and, he violates in some kind of way. I said, at some point in time, do you think that your marriage is on the line, like where your husband will sit there and say, you know what, one day enough is enough, since you don't want to listen to me and he don't get the picture, y'all all could go somewhere and fly a kite and get out? I said, like, what's wrong with you? And she feels like because her and her brother are twins and they grew up close, like the best of friends, that her brother would never do that to her. And I was just like, that's crazy. Your husband is telling you what it is. You have that gut instinct and that feeling that something else is going on because you expressed it. But still in all, you said you can't tell your brother, don't come back to my house, or don't come inside my house, or if you want to meet your brother and you love him that much, you can always go meet him at a local McDonald's or something. But your husband feels some kind of way about your brother. I said that makes no sense to me. And then another thing is that you're saying that your relationship at one time wasn't the best. You and your brother like grew up close, like best friends, and then all of a sudden y'all had a rocky patch where y'all wasn't talking for some time. Now all of a sudden y'all back to being the best of friends. Why is that? And why is it that you don't want to address the situation? And a lot of it had to do with jealousy. But the thing is that I said, when it comes to jealousy, nobody's exempt. The person closest to you can be the one to kill you. I said, I left her with this last saying. I said, you don't want to wake up one morning and you're not married. And you're upset because you allowed not to listen to your spouse. And I say this to you all. If a person is jealous and you have that gut feeling that this person is jealous, go to God in prayer and pray a hedge of protection about your known and unknown enemies. Because too many people are allowing their enemies in their life because they would never think that this person will hurt them. And sometimes these people will see you as a threat. And that's why they're so jealous. They see you as a threat. I know a woman some time ago, years ago, who every dude I dated, she tried to talk to. It never failed. And I used to just sit back and laugh when guys used to be like, she tried to talk to me. I thank God that when God started talking to me about certain people, I just acted fast. Why? Because I don't want to be in trouble in the worst way, where things get out of hand or it's something that I can't control. And sometimes, and a lot of times, not sometimes, God gives you a warning before the downfall. He gives you the warning before the crash. You got to pay attention to what God is talking to you about. You got to pay attention to those gut feelings. You got to call a spade a spade. And nowadays, haters, enemies, and friends is all starting to look alike. I'm just saying. So, that's it for today. For one-on-one session, go to my website, seriouslyfocusedjohnny.com. Sign up for a session. Check me out on YouTube, like, subscribe, smash the notification. Check out my store. For suggested topics, email me, sfj.peace@gmail.com. All the links is underneath. And Mother's Day is coming up. So I have a Mother's Day special. A free session, 30 minutes. Email me, put in the subject box, freebie, for your chance to win. Good luck. Later.